Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Porto, Benfica, who are going to be the kings of Portugal? And if we were going to find that out, would we find that out at the Estadio de Luz? Would Benfica beat Porto? And if so, how would they do it with so much pressure on them? Could Porto finally get one over their huge rivals? And if they were going to do that, who would be the key man? Would it be Marega? Would it be Brahimi? Would it be Abubakar? Who would make the difference? Don't worry, here are the interviews. We've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, I'm going to briefly break down Benfica against Porto. So Porto against Benfica, huge match with title implications. If Porto were to win, you would expect them to go on to win the title. But would they be able to do it in Benfica's house? We look at the board, we got Porto in the blue, we got Benfica in the red. Porto in more of a 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. Up front, you have Suarez just ahead of Otavio. On the flanks, you have Marega and you have Brahimi. In midfield, you have Sergio Oliveira and Hector Herrera. Benfica more of a 4-3-3. Jimenez up front, Servi and Rafa on the flanks. PZ and Zivkovic ahead of Phasia. What went right? What went wrong? Well, both teams kind of canceled each other out. It was a very tight and cagey game. You look at the way that they pressed. Porto more dropping into a 4-4-2 at the start. Deep. When they did press up front, they would push the lines here, but Phasia would obviously be the key man to get on the ball, the spare man. He would get on the ball, but where were his passing options? When did Benfica really create chances in that aspect? As the game wore on, obviously Porto got a bit tired, dropped off into more of two banks of four, getting a bit deeper, staying a bit compact. Their line was pretty high. You're not really looking for Benfica to break in behind, and they didn't really have that opportunity to do so. But when you look at it, it came to that. They're pressing kind of in between. Phasia would come in. As the game wore on, you would see Pizzi drop a bit in because you knew that the other midfielder wasn't going to follow him. And then Benfica kind of picked up the ball in these positions, which is key. But when you look at Benfica's best chances, more so in the first half, you have to look at Rafa and Servi not really doing well, but getting two chances that weren't that great, but they did test Casillas to an extent. Their best chance came from a transitional attack when it was Brahimi from the left, kind of just dropping in. He was dispossessed. And then we saw the Jimenez and Pizzi combination where Jimenez laid it off to him. Free on goal, should score. Casillas makes a big save. However, when you look at what Porto were doing, it was just a bit where you knew what Benfica were trying to do. Porto just had a bit more variety, and it does help that Sergio Oliveira, for where he possibly could have been sent off. I know some Benfica fans will feel that he should have. We're not here to debate that. But on the premise of the game, he was doing well in terms of breaking up play and getting stuck in. And although Porto suffered from the numerical advantage in midfield, although Otavio did drop in on a few occasions, you have to think of it as that they just did things a bit better in terms of what their individuals brought to the table. You look at it from that standpoint, because in terms of the pressing, when Benfica pressed, they kind of sat off in the first stages. They allowed the Porto center backs to have the ball. They knew what they were getting from the midfield. So it's pretty simple for them. Just close down those spaces, press higher there. And what is Porto going to do without the ball? Not much that they can do without the ball, but there were key aspects to it because Porto were free to lob balls into Suarez, who didn't really have the best game, but he did contribute in that sense. They had Marega, who was a key aspect. They had Brahimi dropping into these central areas, and it's not forcing the right back to push up to him, which was key. I know it did lead to the Pizzi chance, but when you look at some of Porto's best opportunities, it stems from that, and the goal stems from that, the winner, because he does drop into that space after they make a few changes. He does play the ball into Marega, who does try to find Abubakar, and then it leads to Herrera firing the shot, an unstoppable shot past the keeper. But Brahimi getting into those positions was pivotal. You think about Ricardo just getting forward on a few occasions. There was one opportunity in the second half where he drove past several players and then played it into Brahimi in this space where it possibly should have scored. But it was Marega's movement throughout that they couldn't really cope with. Not the greatest finisher on the day or in general, but his ability to make runs into the channels, to get on the ball. There was a time where he drifted off into that space, teed up Suarez, probably should have scored, fires his shot into side netting. You think about the other opportunities where he combined with Ricardo, where Ricardo was a bit forward, will push Benfica back a bit. And Ricardo did play balls where he would make these darting runs into space. There was one time where he made one right through here, and it wasn't offside, but it's just the difference. His ability to move into those spaces, to create avenues. We didn't get that from Jimenez. Benfica did start better in the second half, pressing from the front, getting men forward, trying to clog that space, prevent Porto from playing out of the back. But as the game wore on, they were unable to sustain that pressure. It was cagey in the second half. A lot of fouls and bookings were recorded. You think about Benfica bringing on Salvio, bringing on Samaris, moving Zivkovic to the left, playing more of a 4-2-3-1. But they didn't really get anything going. They didn't really test Casillas. Whereas Porto, for all their direct play, for Morega's movement into the channels, for Brahimi just occupying these central positions and creating space, for the Ricardo bursts that were pivotal, they just had something extra there. The game could have been a draw. There weren't that many chances. But when you look at the build-up to the goal, it stems everything that Porto did well in small facets of the game, and it led to a beautiful strike. And on the day, Porto looked like they could be on to their first league title in a very long time. But let me know what you guys think. Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.